really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by the talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful south coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, good Captain. Hello, Oregon, America, and beyond. Yes, beyond America, too. We're going international. How are you guys doing tonight? I hope you're all having a good time. It's good to see you. Let me bring on Marty here. Hey, Marty, how you doing?
We're going international, I tells you.
International. And I,
Webs.
I have had a couple of people from other countries on the show, so I considered it international, even though I couldn't pronounce the name of the country that a couple of these people were from. But, that's the fun part of being on the radio, is not being able to pronounce those names.
Yeah.
I got Puerto Vallarta. There's a restaurant here in not here in Bandon, but here in Coos County in Coos Bay downtown. I believe it's in Coos Bay, Puerto Vallarta Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
And they wrote it out for me and gave it to me. And Puerto Vallarta didn't look like Puerto Vallarta. It looked like Puerto Vallarta because the L's, I didn't, and I don't know how many times I said that, and the owner's sitting there across from me, and I go, thank you. And Scott Brister goes, that just goes to show how white some people are, that they would think the L's would make that sound. That's Puerto Vallarta, Rob. And I was all, oh, I am so sorry. You're supposed to slap me and go, hell, you stupid white person. This is how you're supposed to say it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I first moved to Los Angeles, coming from small town Iowa, I was like going, okay, well, I got to go to this place up on Tujunga. It's like, no, it's Tahunga, because J's are H's. And I'm like, okay. Any other, and it's like, so it took me a while to sort of, and then Kawanga is spelled, with an H. So H is W, and, and so forth. And I was just like, yeah.
Yep.
It's like, do you know that I just got off the bus? You can tell, because I don't know how to pronounce any of these street names.
I mean, that's the nice thing about the English language. We've got all kinds of different words that have been interjected into our language. I lived in Albuquerque, which try to spell Albuquerque, but Albuquerque is in the county of Bernalillo, and I was born in Poughkeepsie. And after a while, you start to see, wow, there's a lot of alphabet soup and, having to fill out documents. And so, living in Oregon was quite the challenge as well. Coquille.
Yeah.
I still get corrected sometimes. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, and I still have people that give me a hard time because of, I live down south of town. And of course, it's equidistant from Bandon to my house as it is from my house to Langlois. Now I call it Langlois, and some people go, no, it's Langlois, and I'm like, yeah, my ass it is. No, it's Lang Lewis. Okay, it's Lang Lewis. But anyway,
yeah,
and it was actually named for somebody who doesn't pronounce it Langlois. So it's all up in the air, and it's like if you ever get into like the etymology of words and where words came from, you're like, and this one came from German, and this one came from Dutch, and this one came from France, and this one came from Greek, and this one came from, and it's like, it's just, back in the days when, America was the melting pot, it was like, yeah, we picked up a lot of stuff. I lived
A lot of
in
stuff.
northeast corner of Iowa. It was German, Dutch, Swedes, Norskies, Swiss, and they'd been there for generations. But you still had people that spoke German. You still had people that had the sort of the Fargo Norsky kind of, yeah, sure, you betcha, yeah, there you go. Where are you going there? Yeah, what you doing then? Yeah, everybody's named Lena or Oli. Uh huh. Yeah, sure, you betcha.
Lena. Hi, Uncle Moy. It's Aunt Myrtle over there. Yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah, totally, totally. We got one comment. Let's see. Joseph says, "Are you using a new mic, Marty? Sounds broadcast quality." Ooh, ooh.
Ooh, well, maybe it's just because I've got actually the mic closer to me now, as you can see right here. It's the mic I always use, but I normally have it a little farther back so that it's not impeding my view of the screen. And I'm like, or this way, I can bring it in a little bit
Oh
closer and
wow, that was amazing.
make it sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Wow, that really came in quite clear. That was impressive. You know
And of
what?
course,
What is that
I don't
picture behind you?
I don't know what I'm talking about, but I can certainly make it sound like I know what I'm talking
Yes,
about. So,
yes. If I could do a
it,
British accent, I could raise my IQ at least 20 points.
well,
That's
there you
right.
go.
That's what I said. There was a study released.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, what's that picture behind you? That looks familiar?
Um, it's no, actually, it's a painting I did in college. I
Oh,
lived in a
wow.
basement apartment in college that had really rough stone walls, and we're not talking like the nice brick that's behind you on your set. It was like these huge stones that made up the basement and the foundation of the house. And so the stones were about the size of, um, I'm trying to think of something. It would be like a Saint Bernard dog. I mean, they were huge, and they're all rough hewn, and it was just kind of grubby. And I got tired of looking at them. So what I did is I went to Kmart, bought a whole bunch of bed sheets and a whole bunch of spray cans and some magic markers, and I just drew artwork and hung it from my walls.
That's
And so,
incredible.
so this
No,
is
that
one of
from
the
someone who can't draw nothing, that's nice. That's a nice job. Looks
yeah, and
like something
everybody
from what was that cartoon? I'm trying to think. Johnny Quest. It looks like
yeah.
it's like a Johnny Quest cartoon thing there you
Yeah,
got
in
going on.
this case, I did actually make it look like a comic book cover because it was just that's what I was shooting for. I was looking for something that was kind of pop art, comic book cover. I forget who the artist was that does comic book cover styles, but it was like that. I'm going, oh, I'm going to do this one and this, and I did another one that was just random geometric shapes and greens and blues and just anything to cover the walls because I got just sick and tired of looking at the rock walls. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
like being in prison, except
No, that's
I
way
think
cooler.
I think they eat better.
Yeah, yeah. No, I would love to try something like that, but whatever I put on the wall is not going to look like that. As you can tell, this is as artistic as I get. You just peel the back and you stick it to the wall, and it's it's
Peel
and
and
it's more
stick.
it's
Hmm.
more about quieting the room down. I had an echo in here,
Yeah.
and so I needed to throw something up. But Joseph, once again, sounds really good. And Jeff Petey is joining us tonight, and he says heavy metal looking. That's kind of what I thought too. It does kind of have that heavy metal look.
Yeah, and it's you can't see the whole thing because it does go floor to ceiling, and it would go, you know, wall to wall in a 10-foot room or 8-foot room. But there's like a comic book cover thing in the corner, and there's sort of like weird artwork in the corner, up in the upper hands corners that make it look like it's some sort of spaceship or sci-fi thing, and it was just, I spent maybe like 3 hours painting this thing.
Well, the way you have positioned it on the camera, it just looks really cool coming out of the side there. That's really neat.
Yeah, she's kind of looking over my shoulder, going,
Yeah,
Whatever you say, it's wrong." I'm going,
it's wrong.
"Okay."
I know you. It's wrong. And Joseph says Rob looks like he's in a dungeon. And shh, don't tell anyone. The girls, I just sedated them. You can't be saying those
Yeah,
things.
you need more paraphernalia hanging off the walls there if you're doing the dungeon look.
Like he might have a couple of teenage
Teenage
girls
girls
in
in
chains
chains.
there with him. Ah!
There we go.
Shh, shh, you will wake the girls. You'll wake the
Yes.
girls. I don't have any more popsicles, damn it.
Yeah. Those
Jeez, these
Rohypnol
people.
popsicles aren't easy to make, man.
No, they're not. Nah, you gotta, you can't get that NyQuil to freeze. It's not
I know,
possible.
because it's got so much alcohol in it. It'll
Alcohol in
never
it. So
freeze.
yeah, so you just tell them, hey, drink it straight. Oh
Well, we're
no,
certainly
it's
keeping on current topics. That's
current topics. You've kind of been away. You're in California, La La Land, rubbing
yeah.
elbows with De Niro and
Geez, I
and
hope not. Well,
Beatty
first
and
off, De
stuff like
Niro's in New
that.
York City, and he's got that thing Bruce Willis has where he's not cognitive anymore. Yeah, same thing with De
I
Niro.
believe that. He doesn't
Yeah,
look cognitive. He
yeah.
doesn't act cognitive.
They're basically saying he's got some sort of rapid onset Alzheimer's kind of thing, and I'm like, so are you vaccinated?
Bruce Willis. I forget the last movie I saw of him. It was kind of like It was almost like what they were doing to Biden the last couple of months of the presidency. It was like you would just see him, but you knew he wasn't there. They were just
Yeah,
moving him, take another picture, move him again, take another picture, put a gun in his hand. Oh, that looks cool. And I mean, he wasn't even making the faces. Every face was him. Just you could tell there's something not
yeah.
good here.
I wonder if all his movie contracts in the later years were signed by AutoPen. So,
Yeah, yeah. They can
so,
fake Monets. You know what I mean? I've seen them
oh yeah,
fake Picassos and stuff, and they always come in. I watch Pawn Stars, and I go, "Can you tell if this signature is a real signature?" And the guy looks at it and stuff, and I'm thinking, if they can fake a Monet, how hard is it to fake a signature, man?
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the thing that was weird with the AutoPen stuff is that there was, you know, six like he pardoned six people in one day, and it said, oh, and attested here at the White House on this date, and it was like, well, he was in the Virgin Islands playing golf, quote unquote, on that day. So how did he attest that at the White House? And they checked it with, a couple dozen other things that he signed, and all of them were the exact same signature, which means they were
Mhm.
AutoPen. They weren't
Oh yeah.
actually humans signing things.
So do they
So
count? Do they count?
ooh, that's a good question. That's
Yeah.
one for the courts, and
One for the
hopefully it's
courts.
hopefully it's a court that's not just going to go, oh well, if it's got a D next to it, of course it's okay.
So I have no talent whatsoever for making these memes, but I had to make something for the testimony that people need to give for the House Bill 3075, which is the gun ban bill.
Yeah,
And I tried to make that the part that talks about the Democrats. Tell the Democrats to keep their hands off our guns. It looks pink on my screen, and I was
it's
trying to
kind
make
of
it.
yeah, it's red and blue here. I mean, yeah, it
Uh,
might have a little bit of pinky to it, but it's kind of red and bluish. It's not the same
yeah.
red color as the
I was trying to
donkey
make it
legs.
the same color, and to the life of me, I could not get it the same color.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's my eyes; they're completely gone. But this is a total commie bill. This is fascism, communism, all written into one. And it was Egan once again, that son of a bitch. I tell you what. But
Son of a
yeah,
tyrant.
I from what I think it was God, what's his name? Now I can't think of his name. The guy who's the assistant DA in another county, and I can't think of his name. He was telling me that Egan was a registered Republican, that he's the only Republican that's holding a statewide office as the judge, the appeals judge.
He doesn't
And
doesn't seem very Republican.
he doesn't seem very Republican. Daniel Crow, who is
That sounds
someone
like a
who I normally can
that
take
sounds
his
like a
word
made
on it.
up name, but yeah.
No. Daniel Crow he ran for attorney general, and I've had him in the show a couple of times. No, Daniel Crow is one of us. He's a good guy.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
oh, let's see. Carol says it looks like hot pink here.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
Kel, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Hot pink. You tell the Democrats to keep their hands off our guns. See, it kind of, it would, I needed a tough color, and that's just not a tough color. An Oregon outlaw says, I hear they are having to release all the illegals and allow them to stay. I
Hmm.
haven't heard that. Have you heard that?
No,
No.
because actually, what I did hear is that Trump was going to re-invoke the 1783 Alien Enemy Act or something like that that makes it easier to deport. And the number of border crossings for the last month, has dropped to like 8,000 as opposed to 200,000. So, you know, but as far as getting people deported, no, I don't think. I mean, is that on a statewide thing or is that a nationwide thing? I'm not sure, but
I have no idea. Oregon outlaw, is that a statewide thing or a nationwide thing? I don't know why. He says it just came out. Oh,
ah,
I don't know. It's Friday, and that's the tough thing about doing the show. They always drop all the stuff as we're
oh, of
doing the
course.
show. They're leaving, and
Yeah,
it's
they want to drop a whole bunch of stuff late on Friday to make sure that nobody sees it in the news cycle.
yep. And of course, they're
Is
doing it on a day that's it's St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. I get Irish drunk day. That's what we call it. Get Irish drunk. Snot slinging drunk.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't go out drinking on Cinco de Mayo or St. Patrick's Day because professional drunks like myself hate hanging with the amateurs.
Yeah, that is the problem. Everyone they don't drink, and then 2 days out of the year, like you said, Cinco de Mayo and on St. Patrick's Day, they get totally blitzed. But I'm scrolling down here, and this is a memo that was sent out by Kevin Starrett, and he talks about House Bill 3075, the bill to implement the gun bans in Measure 114 has been scheduled for a hearing on March 17th. The first notice we received has this scheduled for 3 o'clock in the morning, but we assume that is the typical legislative incompetence, and the hearing will be at 3 p.m., which is what I've been telling people. And I've been telling people you need to testify, and you can do this just by going to Oli's. And let me see if I can share this screen. Let me see if it's sharing. Is that
Yeah,
share?
it's sharing. Yeah, so you got
Hey,
HB 3075, which is the olus.oregonlegislature.gov/list/2025 R1/measure/testimony HB 3075 for
so
people who'd like to have their
people,
URLs read to them.
right, right. But this is where you go. This is the Oregon Legislature website, and you can get it at OregonLegislature.gov and go to Oli's. Just hit the Oli's tab, and you can look up bills. You can look up the bills from different sessions, the different committees, and all kinds of different things here. This is very important to get familiar with if you want to get a little more active in your politics. And one of the things that's important here is that right here on the right hand side, it says submit testimony. Right there, you can just click that. And it talks about written testimony submission form. And you just read that, go down, move on down there. It tells you which committee it's in, what time the meeting's going to be. And it's going to be St. Patrick's Day at 3 o'clock. That's this Monday at 3 o'clock. And you can be there if anyone wants to be there to testify in person. And I won't fill it out because I'm going to fill out it a little bit later. I want to make a little bit more of a
Yeah, well,
direct testimony.
you can show how it's filled out without actually
Yeah.
having to click submit. But yeah, you click on submit testimony. It asks you some basic questions like, do you oppose or you just support? You put in your name.
Yep.
You don't have to put in an organization. I always put in Bandon as my organization, and then you can either click on the box and type in a bunch of text, or you can upload a file if you have something already pre-written. And I normally just type something simple like no. I oppose
Right.
this. This is a bad idea and it's against the Constitution. And then under my breath, I say bite me, but I don't put it on the form. And then you click submit, and it goes, "Hey, are you a robot?" I'm like, going, I can't answer that question, but I'll click no, thank you.
And here's
So
that page.
yeah. So
The
the ones with the red asterisks are the ones that they want you to fill
Yep.
in. So city of residence, email address. They will send you a copy of what you submitted to your email.
And this is
So
the important one, the position, because this is the one, because, and I'll be honest with you, I doubt they actually read any of the testimony. This
yeah,
is what they look at. They look at whether you were neutral, you oppose, or you support. And on this one, you need to definitely hit oppose on there when you submit it. So
yeah,
bad,
and
bad bill.
because I always just look at the summary pages, and so it's there's submit testimony, and then one of the tabs was testimony, and you look at the summary page, and you can say, oh, okay, 385 people have submitted testimony, and it's 384 or 380 against and 8 for or whatever it is.
Right.
And do a quick count kind of thing.
And with this one here, you can, okay, I showed everyone the submit. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right page here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing the right page. Okay. I showed everyone how to submit testimony. If you want to look at testimony, like you were just talking about, you can go down here, and I bet you there's a lot of people who've testified. Derek LeBlanc, you know Derek, don't you?
Do I?
Yeah, he's the guy who's in one of those gun groups. I bet you do.
Oh, probably. I mean, there are times when there's people, people will go, oh yeah, you know him, you met him at blah blah blah, and I'm going, oh yeah, but I'm so great at remembering names, so
Lieutenant Colonel Robert Powell.
Well, let me take a real quick check on this one. So
James Martin. Am I sharing the right page?
Yeah. I see Dave Kimball, Russell Kraft, Sonia Pierce.
Perfect.
And so I just did a check of oppose versus support. It's 470 oppose and 117. So it's 470 to 117 right now.
Wow. I
So
really
it's not
push
too late.
this.
Submit your testimony now.
Yeah. And you have until, I think they give you till 5:00 the day of the meeting.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
It-
they don't cut it off the minute the meeting starts, because I'm
Yeah.
pretty certain they're just going to look at the summary page and go, "Oh, okay,
Donna Blayla. We know Donna.
yeah,
We know these people. This is good stuff. So I wanted to show everyone it's really incredibly simple.
oh, I know, yeah."
You
The
have no
only
excuse.
Yeah, and I even gotten to the point now where all you have to do is give me the build number, and I've already got a pre-built URL. So all I have to do is type in HB3075, and boom, there I am.
Nice. So that's what people need to do, and they need to do this by Monday. And if you can do it by 3:00, I'd recommend it. But tell the Democrats to keep your hands off our guns, and you don't have to do it in hot pink like I did. But if you're feeling sexy, and you want to be risque, go for it, man.
Get your hot pink font now.
Your hot pink font. Get your hot pink font out of here.
Well, it's a transgender font. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's a transgender.
It doesn't know what color it is. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Says Oregon Outlaw says nationwide, and they're having to release all the ones from Gitmo.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I would find that surprising.
And Joseph says, and in legal law is not a law, and this proposed legislation is treason against both the U.S. Constitution and in this case also the Oregon Constitution shall not be infringed, period. And that's what I was going to leave for that was literally what I was going to leave along with the Second Amendment from the U.S. Constitution and a copy of I think it's the 28th Amendment in the Oregon Constitution. I'll have to look again. But I was going to put both of those in my testimony and say this same thing, that this is not a law because it violates both the Oregon and U.S. Constitution. Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, there's already been a case, Marbury versus Madison, which is like any law that's repugnant to the Constitution cannot be enforced. So where's the confusion here?
What was the recent, was it the Bueller decision? Where they've already decided on a lot of these that
Yeah.
that these type of regulations are just overburdensome. And the magazine one has already been decided, and the permit one has already been decided. And I don't know how many people are going to get snared up and getting caught into these laws until it filters through to either the Ninth Circuit Court or the U.S. Supreme Court. Because who knows, the Ninth Circuit Court might do the right thing because, well, they don't want to get shown up. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's, and I don't, it either has happened or it will happen soon, but essentially they're planning on, oh, sorry, I have to turn off my, I looked up the Rob Taylor report on Rumble, and then it's coming through my headphones. I'm like, well, that's not good.
Huh. That guy
I'm
sounds
hearing,
like shit. Who is that?
yeah, who is that? Jeez, that guy sounds like a moron. And he's echoing into his own headphones. But no, and I lost my train of thought because I was like looking at, you're mentioning comments that I wasn't seeing on Facebook. And I'm like, well, where else can I look to see these comments? So anyway, so you on, where are you getting your comments from? Are you getting them from Facebook or Rumble, or, because I see them on Facebook, but I don't see them on
YouTube.
Rumble. Oh, YouTube. Okay.
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah.
Oh,
But
whoops.
anyway, where was I going? Marbury versus Madison. Oh, one of the things that I heard was coming down the pipeline is that Trump's going to have an executive order that basically says if you are going to do these kind of lawfare things where you're going to, take me to court. I mean, there's been 190 things filed to try to keep Trump from doing whatever he's doing. And these judges are going, well, Trump can't fire anybody from the executive. It's like, no. The judge can't stop him from doing it. The president is the top of the executive, branch of the government. Therefore, yes, he can. But they keep filing these stays, and it's like, okay, whoever's filing these now has to put down a huge amount of bond money so that when they lose, and they will lose, they're going to have to pay for it, as opposed to the taxpayers paying for it. So the whole idea is if you're going to do these kind of lawfare tactics to stop every single executive action, then you're going to have to put down a buttload of money. And when you lose, you're going to lose a buttload of money. And so
Way it should
maybe,
be.
and now that USAID's being cut off and they're not getting this infinite funnel of money coming back into themselves, then maybe that'll cut it down. I mean, like the first time Trump was in office, the first month, there was like 60 some odd lawsuits against him to stop executive actions. And now we're up to about 190, almost 200. And it's just like, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's been what? Less than 2 months?
Yeah. You can't expect. It took that long for Biden to get out of his basement. So, Samantha says, and she corrects me, and she's correct. Article 1, Section 27 of the Oregon State Constitution is where you can find their right to bear arms clause, their the supremacy clause. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Now she's going to make me. And he quotes the Constitution in his executive orders.
Yeah. Oh, he was great at the DOJ today. He was basically saying, yeah, I know it doesn't look like, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he said, I know it doesn't look like Pam Bondi's doing anything, but I got her back. And it's like, we are changing how, it's been a horrible 4 years, and we are going to fix this. And we are going to get back to the rule of law. And, and Pam knows how difficult it is, but she's strong enough to do this, and she will get it done. And anybody that thinks she's not tough, look out. Here she comes.
Well, that's, yeah. I think that was the whole part of what he was doing when he picked his whole crew.
Yeah.
He did the best job. I think he's done the best job of anyone who's picked a good crew. I want to focus now back to Oregon legislation, and this right here is relating to the firearms. It modifies the firearm permit provisions of ballot measure 114. So while we have the ruling that says measure 114 is constitutional, We also have a bill in the legislature. This is House Bill 3075, the one that we need people to testify on. And this is very important that people get to this and shut this down, because this is a two-tier attack on our firearms. And this isn't the only one. I didn't have all the gun bills ready to go, but this isn't the only one that this was happening to.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I think this kind of harkens back to what I was saying earlier, where they don't seem to quite understand that they don't have the leeway that they've had for the last 4 years, where they can do stuff like this, counting on the fact that one, they have judges on their side and the feds aren't going to do anything about it. Well, it sounds like Tom Homan's coming after anybody, and this would be Kotek, anybody that's going to say, well, we're going to keep doing DEI, and we're going to keep harboring illegal aliens, and we're going to keep fighting against ICE. And he's like, well, have fun in jail, you know. So
let's
it's such,
see. Hello, you there?
yeah, I think so. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
I can hear you. I thought I lost you, man. It is
Well,
dangerous out here. You never know. It's
yeah,
dangerous out
well,
here.
I could have been swatted for all you know. Yeah.
Totally, totally, totally. Let me add this to the stage here. I haven't checked. I don't know if this is still being battled out or if they made an agreement on this. But the reason I'm showing this is there was an interesting paragraph in this article that was written by Donna Blayla, and it talks about the wildfire mapping has everything to do with property rights. And this is something we were talking about when they were passing this. This goes back to Senate Bill 762. And let's see if I can increase this, because boy, that's some small print. Damn, that's some small print. Let's see if I
Yeah,
can increase that.
I can actually read it. So if you want me to read it
Okay,
here.
here we go. It says, what caused all of this controversy in 2021? Senate Bill 762 passed, creating an updated wildfire program, which has opened a backdoor effort to prevent people from living in rural areas. This bill included one extremely controversial requirement: the establishment of the statewide wildfire risk map used to regulate people's properties. Samantha Bear exposes how legislative bills SB 79, 78, 77, SB 73 are attacks on rural Oregon's right to exist. Bear also points out to legislators' hostility supporting the idea that people should not be allowed to live in areas mapped as high hazard on the state map is a threat against rural Oregonians. Representative Paul Evans put his hostility in writing, bullying the Greater Idaho movement, which will further the demise of the rural Oregon. He writes, for the counties asking for assistance in capital construction funding for repair, rehabilitation, or replacement of county courthouses and justice facilities. I have suggested that we must prioritize funding for counties that intend to remain a part of Oregon for the duration. And then here was another one. Along came Senate Bill 762 and the new fire map that enhanced the purpose of the Rockefellers' donation to OSU. Remember that, because I'm going to talk about this in a minute. To
Okay.
further the UN's goal, removing 30% of humans from the world. Biden followed with his 3030 Executive Order 14008, dated January 27 of 21, and revoked an Executive Order 14148 and 14154, January 20th, 2025, by President Trump. However, the revocation has not stopped the Democratic leadership in Oregon from pursuing Senate Bill 79 and like bills. And the question that I have been asking, and I've asked all along, because, I'm just one of those people, I'm curious, is why did all those Republicans in the House vote for this bill when they didn't have to vote for it? It was going to pass because the Democrats had control of the House. The Senate Republicans had all voted against it. The majority of them voted against this bill. and were not supporting it, including Dallas Hurd, who was opposed to this. And why did those Republicans in the House vote for this? And I just, that quote by what he was talking about, that Rockefeller thing, I thought it was interesting. And let me see if I can I can find this. Let's see, what's her name? Donna Blayla. I
Hmm.
asked her a question about the
Rockefeller
the
Foundation or
yeah,
Fire
the
Hazard Map?
Rockefeller Foundation.
Okay.
And I want to share this. This is another tab, and hopefully you guys can read this. Let me add this to the stage. And there we are. This is from my email right here, and it's from Donna, and it says, Rob Taylor, let me introduce you to Robert Powell. He has all the information that you asked about. I am forwarding some of our conversation. Bet you best ask him the details to your question. Rob Taylor has a talk show. And then I want to go further down past all that because it just repeats what I've already talked about. It says, Donna, yes, it is mine. The material is all open source, but not easily found. Aware of Oregon fire history as I fought fire for 3 summers, was engaged in other work as far as testifying. Hatfield, McCall, and Rockefeller worked together to create LCDC from SB 100. The OSU language deception was to use the UN declaration to finish what McCall had been advocating for some time. And he had this was part of a slideshow. And he says the UN convention is the catalyst. Rockefeller funded the UN in many ways. 3030 is worldwide as well as US. The legislation 3030 Termination Act would block the executive order and protect private land ownership. And so this was some of the things that I thought was interesting that was coming out about Senate Bill 762. And my question about why did the Republicans support this? And I'm starting to think that there was something much bigger here than just the fact that the fire mapping was just part of the first 3 pages out of a 22-page bill. I think it was like 22 or 24 pages, I think.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all parts of, I mean, there's also a lot of work going on where, like with Gut and Stuff, or similar to Gut and stuff, where they will write a bill and the bill sounds like it's pretty innocuous until you actually start reading, all the stuff that's inside of it. And so it's like the fire hazard map and then other things. And then you said, oh, well, Rockefeller is paying OSU to come up with these things that follow the UN agenda. And it's like, okay, well, all you have to do is do, a half dozen bills over a couple of different sessions, and you can get all this stuff implemented. And so it's basically death by 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, what's happening is it's just little by little, they're taking more and more away. I mean, it's like, what happened to our forestry? Oh yeah, something about an owl. What happened to our fishing? Oh yeah, something about a fish. And oh well, riparian lands where you can't log anywhere near that where a creek might be, and so forth and so on. And then next thing you know, you're living in, you're living in Gitmo essentially. You're living in 15-minute cities. So
It's here's the thing though. That bill had nothing to do with the Gut and Stuff. That bill didn't change but a few amendments because it only went through one work session and one public hearing, and it came out of the Senate, like I said, with most of the Republicans voting against it, went into the House. They didn't do any changes to it. I don't remember anywhere where it went to a committee. It went to a vote, and then most of the Republicans voted for it, knowing that and we knew this because we were there telling them that this is a bad bill, but that the only public hearing they had, there wasn't a single person there speaking out against it. Every single one of them was from the Nature Conservancy, the environmental
Sierra
group, this
Club,
and
yeah,
yeah, all of the tree hugging groups came together. 1,000 Friends of Oregon was one of the others, and you would recognize them because you've seen them here I'm sure at one of those couple of the windmill meetings, when they were environmentalists walking around. It's like the same ones over and over. They just recycle.
yeah,
But yeah, it was a staged bill, and the Republicans didn't have to vote for it. They they got egg on their face because now they have to repeal it, and Noah Robinson has a bill in there that repeals that. I'm just wondering what the hell these guys got out of it, because David Brock Smith got that $25,000. Was it 25 or 10,000 from the windmill, the guy who owns the windmill company, the last bidder in the
oh yeah, that,
the
yeah,
yeah, he got money from the guy who puts up, sponsors, pays for a pack,
yeah,
and he puts money into that pack, and that pack donated to David Brock Smith's political action committee. And
yeah. I
so
mean,
it's
there's
just
well, and there's a couple.
interesting.
Yeah, we haven't done a lot of digging on DBS for a while, but now that I've been kind of acquainted with Data Republican on X, where she's got all these great tools where you can look up things by EINs and then start making links between. I looked up the Southwest Oregon Children's Foundation, and that's the one where we went to Gold Beach and checked out an empty building, and then found out that Southwest Oregon Children's Foundation was getting $125,000, and they have really no facilities. It's just an empty building as far as we can tell. But DBS gets paid 40 grand a year to be on the board of Southwest Oregon Children's Foundation. And then there's other ones that are linked to that. And I was like, well, we could just keep digging. So you got to know the money's coming from somewhere and going to somewhere. And we still haven't quite figured out the whole, like, how deep do we want to dig on Tuttle tokens? And it's like 125 grand from Tuttle, who's running a hedge, running a Chinese investment company in San Francisco. Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing wrong there, but it's just the somehow this guy came up with 200 and some odd $1,000 to fight for, to overrun a candidate in a primary, as opposed to, just letting the chips fall where they may. So it's like, okay, he spent 200 grand and we spent 25 grand. And it's like, really? You're expending that much money for a primary. It's not so much the, oh my gosh, I got to spend this money to win. It's the, oh my gosh, where did you get that kind of money for a primary in, Dinktown, Oregon? Where's
Yeah.
that money come from?
Where does that money come from? Damn good question.
Yeah, I'm proud of living in Dinktown, Oregon, by the way.
I'm proud of living in Dingtown, Oregon. I could
'Cause
sit
I'm
here
one
all
of,
day and we
I'm
could.
one of the dinks, yeah.
I'm one of the dinks from Dingtown. Hi, I'm Harry Dink. This is my wife,
Yeah.
Sally Dink. Hi, Sally. Harry Dink.
Woo.
A Harry Dink. Boy,
Well, yeah.
I don't even want to go there.
I wasn't even gonna touch that one. I'm not
Yeah,
touching your Harry
don't touch the
Dink.
Harry Dink, man. Don't.
I am not
That's
touching
a
your Harry
bad
Dink
thing.
here.
Where was I now? Oh, so I kind of want to go back to a local news, because I think
Okay.
this is important, because we got an election coming up, and I'm going to be releasing the candidates that I'm supporting right now. I'm supporting 4 Republicans over in North Bend. Julie Thies, or Thies. Is it Julie Thies? Maybe it's Julie Thies. Mary Schilling. Carol Yardley, of course, because she's just badass, and Dallas Pettenbrink. I think they're the 4 best candidates we have in any of the districts. And right now, only Julie has a challenger. So I don't know if they're going to be the left is going to put up any other challengers to these folks. But if not, this is going to be smooth sailing for us in that district. We are having 2 Republicans challenged in Bandon. We have 4, I think it's 4 seats up. And Stan Avery and David Heisel, they're both being challenged. And we don't have anyone, it looks like, to run against the Democrats who are in the other positions.
Yeah, I thought about running for the airport district because I'm like, well, I know planes, but how to be a school board member? Nah, I couldn't do that one.
Since you hate kids and all, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I have such fond memories of band in high school.
Well, let me see. Let me take down this comment. There it is. They need a new way of doing those comments. Let's see if I can put this on screen. Here was another thing that's on the ballot. Let me see if I can share it now. Bloop, bloop. Oh, there we go. North Bend. Perfect. So the city of North Bend, they have a couple of measures on the ballot. And I don't know if you remember that urban renewal that we defeated here.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is codify some of the funding through these ballot measures that they lost because of the urban renewal money that they were trying to get. And the first one is the city of North Bend sewer rate increase. Let's see, what was the other one? Maintaining police services through public safety fee increase. That's a fee increase on
yeah, public safety fee increase. Well, it says $5, but I mean $5 per what?
Per
$5
what?
per person? $5 per person? $5 per $1,000 of your home?
Where do they collect this fee? Is this at the water district?
Well, I mean the public safety fee increase. It's like, okay, you get going to increase the public safety fee by $5 to maintain current police services and prevent service reductions. Okay, but $5. I mean, is that a $5 per month per person? Is that $5 per $1,000 that your house is worth? As being.
And they didn't have this up at the county clerk's office to really go through it because this is just a real quick summary. And yeah, it doesn't. And that was the thing I was curious about it though. Who is charging the fee? Where do you pay the fee at? Do you wait for the cop to show up and you give him, oh, here's $5, officer. Here's my public safety.
Yeah. Hey, I'd hate for you to get hurt, but you give me $5 for the public safety fee. I'll make sure it's okay. Don't want to make it sound like extortion, but $5. I could hurt you a lot for $5.
We're gonna hurt you. We're gonna hurt you. Here's another ballot title: establishing monthly fee to fund dog park construction and maintenance. Shall North Bend create a $2 monthly utility fee to fund dog park construction, maintenance, and operations? Now, this I can understand. It's your utilities. On your utility bill, you're going to get a monthly $2 fee. That is very understandable. That whole $5 for public safety, I'm still confused on.
Yeah, I mean, that one's just ambiguous enough. And the way it's written, I mean, I don't know if they've turned in the forms to actually put this on the ballot at the county level at this point. I'm sure they
they got the ballot title. They got the ballot title. So yes, they have had to.
Yeah, but I mean, don't you have X amount of time to say, I've got a problem with this ballot title?
Yeah, you got, was it 30 days?
I'd have to go look it up because
maybe it was shorter than that. It was like 7 days. Maybe it was like 7 days someone had. This has been up here more than 7 days though. Amending the city charter to change voting requirement for fee increases. Shall North Bend amend the city charter to require a majority of voters rather than electorate to approve fee increases? In 2020, voters approved a charter amendment requiring fee increases beyond cost of living adjustments to pass by a majority of the electorate, including non-voters. This measure changes the requirements to a majority of voters in the election. A yes vote updates the charter to reflect only participating voters' decisions. A no vote keeps the current system where non-voting residents count as no votes. Well, that was a screwed up. Who the hell put that on the charter? That was dumb.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. So basically, depending on how they wrote it, you could actually have the thing where it's like, well, nobody voted, nobody showed up to vote for this, so therefore it passed.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
That's so they're fixing a screw up. Whoever did that screw up. Well, hopefully they fix that. But yeah, that's some of the. I'm willing to bet all but the last one goes down in flames. I don't think people are in the mood for more fee increases.
well, I mean, because
I don't know.
they've done such a bang up job of, you're looking at all the corruption going on at the national level through U.S. aid, and and the fact that there's 4 billion or 4 million credit cards out, but there's only 4 million government credit cards out there, but there's only 2.2 million government employees. So where are all those other credit cards?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the hundreds of millions of dollars, the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that are getting Social Security benefits that don't exist or don't live in the United States, and the hundreds of millions of dollars that are being wasted on programs that don't exist. I mean, there was one that came out the other day where it was like Michelle Obama basically charged back to the government 166,000 for some function that they did, when they were in office, and then basically the got the thing set so that it was a recurring payment. So not only did she get reimbursed 166,000 for that one-time event at a five-star hotel, but she gets $166,000 a month and has been for the last 3 years because they marked it as recurring. So, everybody's going, yeah, I don't want any more taxes because I've seen what they're doing with the taxes I give them now. I mean, this is not like, oh, it's government money. Government money is our money, by the way.
yeah. Someone needs to explain that to him. Definitely, that seems to be a total problem with these people. So I don't know how much you know about this story, but a couple of years ago, I would think it was in 2020. I was on the radio still, and there were that was when COVID was going on, and I was speaking out against people getting the COVID vaccine because it really wasn't a vaccine. And we were telling people not to get the vaccine, to wait, that herd immunity was going to eventually, which it did. That's eventually what stopped it from spreading. And now we're all getting more immune to the disease every year through herd immunity. And so, and this was when BLM and Antifa and this trans agenda came out as well. And of course, I was speaking out against this. And this gentleman right here, and I use the term loosely, Lance Nelson, he was the chief executive officer. He had a license in counseling young people. And he called, I should say, he called the radio station, he emailed them and told them he was going to pull $1,300 in a month that the Waterfall Clinic spends on advertising. And at the time, Mike Wilson said that that nobody's going to get to decide who gets canceled on his radio show, and he kept me on the show. But that was one of the first serious attempts at trying to get me off the air. And this is the guy right here. This is the dirt bag. And I don't know if you heard about this, but he was involved with doing some not so nice things with young boys. Middle school boys and high school boys, and he had to resign. He just resigned a couple of days ago. But it's weird how people like this get into positions of power. And so this is the update on this story, is that when we told the story, what was it? Me and Chris told it on Monday. Well, now I just want everyone to know he is gone. He is completely gone, and he no longer works for the Waterfall Clinic. So that's the update to this story. So sometimes it's revenge takes a little while, but it does come around, and it was nice. Revenge is sweet.
and I always, I mean, it's always like we're seeing now where Elizabeth Warren or Pocahontas and Bernie Sanders and Schumer and Schiff are all getting all up in arms about Trump and Elon Musk are a threat to democracy, and they're trying to steal money from us and steal money from your grandmas, and I'm like, the more you yell, the more you're basically shouting out to the world how very guilty you are, because the only people that make that kind of a ruckus and tell those kind of lies are the people that have something to cover up. So when this guy went after you and tried to get you taken off the radio because you were not transgender, you weren't transgender and you weren't, you didn't agree with him. But the people that are yelling the loudest about trying to shut you up because you don't agree with them are normally the people that have so much to hide that their first thing is to shout you down, because if you had a reasoned discussion with them, chances are they would find out that or everybody would find out that they had nothing to stand on. And two, they have to like yell and scream to make sure people aren't paying attention to the fact that they're doing some really nasty stuff behind everybody's back. So, you
And
know,
and
as
he
as Petey said, yeah, predator.
Yeah, fucking predator. And the thing is that this guy also was at Baloney's Baloney Boys Ranch, and Baloney's Boys Ranch was closed down because they got sued over these type of sexual indiscretions. And I think the guy who did get put away for that just recently got out of jail.
Yeah, but isn't it nice that Tina has basically said, "Oh, we're not going to register sex offenders anymore," and not only that, but what was it? Thousands, if not tens of thousands, of children that were under child protection services from the state of Oregon were molested,
Yeah.
and it's like, and that's under Tina's watch, and I'm like going. So let's see. Tina is not, is going to rescind the fact that sexual predators must be registered. No, you don't need to register anymore. And it's like, oh, and by the way, all these kids were being molested on your watch. And it's
It's
like,
the same.
wow.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service decided to fix the mosquito problem. They just decided to ignore them. If we don't count them, they don't exist. Well, that seems to be Tina's solution for
Yeah.
Oregon being number one for a percentage per capita of child molesters or sex offenders. That's what it is, registered sex
Oh yeah.
offenders. And so what we're
Yeah.
going to do is just not register them anymore. And that will cut the percentage down to where we're on top of the list. You're
Yeah.
not going to
We're
ever
number
want to
one.
walk the streets, but
We're number
hell,
one. You don't want to raise any children here, but we're number one. But I mean, same thing with like the Biden regime was saying, oh, crime is down. Well, that's because most major metropolitans stopped
stop
reporting crime.
reporting.
Yeah, and it's like, if you lay out if you don't report crime in Oakland, California, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, that's about half the crime in the nation. They're not reporting. Wow, crime stats are down.
We
Now,
have
heck,
7 cities. We have 7 cities in the county. Do we know that all the cities in this county are reporting crimes?
I have no clue.
I don't think Powers has a police department, so they're excused. But
Well, what are there, like 18 people in Powers? I'm sure everybody. Well, we didn't have any crime. I mean, yeah. Fred got drunk and fell over, but he
my
knocked over the
sister
mailbox.
wife, she robbed me again.
Yeah.
So,
We'll
okay,
we'll take care of it internally.
you were just talking about how they're trying to pass the bill, and I forget the number of the bill. This is, like I said, I could spend hours and hours on legislation. I didn't want to bore people tonight. But this article came out, new $51 million lawsuit filed against Oregon Youth Authority for alleged sexual abuse of children in custody. The latest lawsuit follows a half a dozen others last year, all alleging that plaintiffs were sexually assaulted by staff at youth correctional facilities. Let's see. It says 10 men formerly incarcerated at Oregon's McLaren Youth Correctional Facility in Woodburn have filed a $51 million lawsuit against the state's Juvenile Justice Agency, the Oregon Health Authority, which is the Oregon Youth Authority as well, alleging that they were all sexually abused by a single OYA doctor and that several of them were also sexually abused by various other OYA staff. And I'll tell you what, that's pretty screwed up. Oregon, I don't know. We're number one. There's a reason we're number one, Marty. I mean,
Yeah.
I just showed you the guy locally. Okay, we got a guy locally that I just showed you who got fired from Waterfall Clinic, the executive director. Then you got the guy who's working over at SWAC who had to register as a sex offender because he was messing around with young girls that he was teaching, and now he's back working with youth again, and they're not doing anything about that. I can't wait for that to explode. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say I can't wait. I won't be surprised when that blows up.
Yeah, I think that's probably better wording right there.
Better wording, totally better wording.
I won't be surprised when this is a recurring problem that has not been solved by, we have sexual offender registry databases for a reason.
Yep.
Not because we want to, keep an eye on them 24 hours a day. But you know what? I'd like to know if my kindergarten instructor is on the sexual offender, my kid's kindergarten instructor. Yeah, one of these days I'll make it to kindergarten, I swear. If my kid's kindergarten instructor is, a sexual offender, I mean, I want to know that. You would think the schools would vet that, but then again, I bet they don't anymore. And when the Department of Education gets dismantled, which the person that Trump put in to do that, she goes, yeah, my one job is to get rid of the Department of Education. So hopefully we'll see that happen. But then it'll be down to the Oregon level of the Department of Education, which Tina Kotek is the head of.
Right.
And is that going to make it better?
No.
No.
In fact, it may make it worse because they may have more money to waste, and hopefully there's something the people will do about that. There is a bill, David Brock Smith, to his credit, I forget him and which other legislator put a school choice bill. It was a joint resolution to put it on the ballot. That would make it a legislative referral to the ballot. And it's highly unlikely that it's going to see the light of day. But I thought this one might, because the Democrats knows that this bill in other states has gone down in flames. And I don't know why it's gone down in flames in other states, but they may be thinking that bill would go down in flames here in Oregon. And that sure would be a good way to kill that issue. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the amount of money that the state of Oregon is putting into the schools and the amount of students the number of students is dropping every year that are going to public schools, because a lot of people are pulling their kids out and putting them in private schools or charter schools. And then you also have we have all this money that we're pumping into the schools and they're not getting better year over year. Oh, okay. Well, what we'll do is we will make sure that they don't have to take a test to graduate anymore, which means more people are graduating because we just push them out the front door after they've been here for 4 years and we've collected our money for having, warm bodies and seats.
We're not going to make the person who molests you register as a sex offender, and don't worry about it because we're not going to make you work for a diploma because everyone gets one, including the registered sex offender. Yay!
Yeah, I mean they're only getting paid to have X number of people in seats. Doesn't matter if you get an A or if you get a Z. They're still going to get their money if you're in the school. And so they don't have to give you an education anymore. As a matter of fact, they're not giving you an education. They are essentially going out of your way to make sure that you're either indoctrinated or you don't learn enough to, like when I got out of band in high school and I went to college, I didn't have enough math to do the electrical engineering courses that I started taking.
Right.
And so I had to take like a year's worth of courses to get up to college level math. And that was back in the 70s. So I can't imagine it's gotten any better.
Surely not. Surely not. Jeff Pete says extreme DEI hiring practices at SWAC and the Oregon government. And this is DEI is based on that idea that not everyone has the same opportunity because we're not all equal. And that's why we have to make everyone equal by practicing equity. And DEI is just killing us. It's killing this country. But
Well, it's a failed concept. I mean,
it's a failed concept. And but the thing is that this is Chris Castleman had a great term for this. This is phony altruism. This is like the phony Christians I was talking about a couple of weeks ago. This is phony altruism, or he had a perfect term called what he called it was sadistic altruism.
okay.
I love that term, sadistic altruism. It's what they're doing when they allow people to sit in their own waste and blow their mind beyond the point of ever coming back. That's sadistic altruism.
Okay. I mean, I kind of understood the sadistic altruism part of it, where it's like, all these people are virtue signaling and saying, well, they didn't come from, they didn't have the right opportunities or come from the right background, or they're not the right skin color, or they're not the right sexual orientation. So, we have to level the playing field and give everybody the same opportunities. And, and it's like, and then, well, we're not going to make it so that everybody's treated the same. No, we're going to treat people differently. So we're basically codifying racism, and we're codifying, it's basically saying, we're so sick of racism that we're going to put it into code. And I'm like, wow.
Which is sadistic.
Yeah. And I'm like, on hypocrisy, I don't think any Democrat or leftist has hypocrisy defined well in their dictionaries, because saying we have to end racism by being more racist is, I don't think that's a way to solve this problem.
We got to be more racist. That will stop that racism.
If we just scream racist at everybody that disagrees with us, and then make sure that, anybody that, if you're a one-legged albino Eskimo lesbian, you will be like the CEO, because, that's going to be, you're going to be hired because you check like 18 boxes, So if you check white Christian male, well, you're not going to get hired for nothing. But
so going right along with what we've been talking about, and talking about the crazies in charge of the sanitarium, I've got this article, They Them Turtle. Oregon Mental Health Advisory Board includes a member who identifies as a terrapin species. A turtle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yertle the turtle. And I've seen her picture. So I'm like going, well, yeah, or him or her's picture. But yeah, I've seen that picture. And I'm like, okay, it could be a turtle.
That was the meme that I saw this morning. It says, you can't make this up. Oregon's Mental Health Advisory Board includes member who identifies as a freaking turtle.
Yeah, slightly better than, what was it, Rachel Levine, who used to be part of HHS, and that is like, and then we went from that to RFK Jr. And I'm like going, there's somebody I think is going to do like healthy things. RFK Jr. Rachel Levine, a guy who's dressed like a gal, and I'm like, and you're way overweight, and I'm like going, okay, so has nothing to do with health. No, it certainly has nothing to do with mental health. So they're doing this on purpose, They're they're trying to confuse the crap out of us, and they're succeeding. I'm confused all the time, and it makes me talk like this.
Jeff P says it's a damn moose. It's a damn moose. Oh, Lordy. Who gave this lady a job?
I will never look at a 1.5 liter tub of Moose Tracks ice cream the same ever again.
What? Why don't they ever identify as something that's good, like, Superman, or a doctor that can cure cancer? I identify as a genius doctor who can cure cancer. That's what I identify as. Look, I'm going to cure your cancer right over here. Because that's what I identify as, Jesus Christ. I identify as Jesus Christ. Then they would call you crazy. No, that guy's crazy. He's identifying as Jesus Christ. I'm a cat. Now that's okay, but the Jesus Christ guy, I'm calling the lines here.
I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy. It's a suicidal tendencies song. All I ever wanted was a Pepsi. I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy.
So you remember the guy got kicked out of the it wasn't the State of the Nation address, it was the joint session address.
Yeah, joint session of Congress address. Yeah, Al Green
That was it.
or something Green, and yeah.
I got a video for you. This you'll like this. This is Green eating. Let me remove that comment. This is Green eating crow. I enjoyed this.
We have to stand up for them. They're among the least in our society. Unfortunately, we have to stand up for them. So I'm standing up for those people. I will continue to stand, and I will continue to tell the world that this incivility has to be dealt with. We have to deal with the president's incivility. The name calling never ceases. Maxine Waters, he has assaulted verbally. Miss Wilson from Florida. The list goes on and on and on, as Congresswoman Waters is known to say. On and on and on. We sit and we watch with civility as he employs incivility. Yes, I said earlier, and I'm retreating to the point, that he has been given a certain amount of immunity. He has not been given absolute immunity. But he seems to have an inordinate amount of influence with his party. Inordinate. I see people doing things that I never thought I'd see them do. I see people who are conservative, that I have great respect for, doing things that I never thought I'd see them do. I'm not calling names. I'm just saying to you, friends, the president has an inordinate amount of influence. Inordinate, unusual, incomprehensible amount of influence. So the courts have given him a certain amount of immunity. His party has given him carte blanche to say anything, to come before the joint session of Congress and use the word lunatics as he refers to Democrats.
I would use the word lunatic to describe Democrats. I think that would be just a perfect word to use.
Oh yeah,
damn lunatics.
They're, well, and the thing is, this is the guy that got up and and basically was thrown out for being not following decorum, and now he's giving a speech about inordinate amount of he's calling names and inordinate. I got to think of another word that starts with N.
Don't be using the N word now.
Yeah. I gotta find a word that starts with IN, not N.
IN. I'm in.
IN. Yeah. And I'm like going, I was looking at and I'm like going, oh my God, he's from Texas? How did Texas elect that guy?
Wow. I don't know when he said that, but the whole Kane thing, that's, dude, really, how stereotypical can you get? I mean,
yeah, let's not pay any attention to the fact that, when Trump was speaking, everybody was like, booing and, holding up signs and acting like, petulant children. And, and people were getting up and leaving in a huff. And I'm like going, one of our Oregon representatives got up and left in a huff. It's the one that is kind of a doctor but doesn't do doctor-like things. And it was like she got up and she left, and I basically posted on her X account. I said, well, So, according to the rules that the Oregon Democrats have set at the state legislator level, if you walk out, you can't run re-election. So, enjoy the last time you're going to be elected.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So, back to another subject, national subject, the consideration agreement, the consul, what is it called? Oh gosh, and I've been working with it
Consolation
all day.
prize. Everybody
No,
gets
the
a gold star.
consolation prize. No, the CR package that they passed today to keep
Oh,
the government
continuing
open.
resolution.
Continuing resolution.
Resolution.
That was,
Yeah.
yes. That
The one
was,
where the one where Schumer said, well, I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to shut it down. And then when it turned out, Trump was going, yeah, you know what? Go right ahead, shut it down. That'd be great, because if you shut down the government, then I'm basically going to show everybody we don't need you jerks. So he's going,
you know
okay,
what?
I'm going to pass the CR then.
No, he knew that that would actually Trump would have been able to clean out house a little bit better if they would have
Oh,
shut
yeah.
down. It would have been a much quicker job. So I personally was with Massey, Thomas Massey.
Yeah.
I know Trump was all pissed off because he voted against him. What did you think about that? Because Massey is one of the good guys.
Well, I kind of, and there's a lot of, and I know we make fun of DPS for doing 4D chess, but 4D chess underwater with scuba tanks. But
Yes.
there are times when I think there are more things going on than we understand, or that we're allowed to get information about. And so, like when they said, "Oh, we're going to release the Epstein files, and we're going to release the JFK stuff, and we're going to release the blah blah," and then they didn't release the Epstein files. I think a lot of that has to do with they want to rattle the cages and see who complains most. And then when they say they're going to do something and it pisses a bunch of people off, or it gets people like coming out of the woodwork to do all these wild accusations or lawsuits, I think there's a lot of sleepers in a lot of these agencies that are still in place. I mean, they can't just go into the FBI and say, we're getting rid of this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, that gal, because we know they're all bad. They
Right.
know who some of the bad people are, but they don't know who all of the bad people are.
And just
so,
because they know they're bad, they can't get rid of all of them.
yeah. And it might be like with the Epstein stuff, it's like, okay, let's see who starts like countermanding orders or doing things behind the scenes or trying to shred documents, or let's see who, with all these other things going on. So I think the whole kerfuffle about Massey, I think some of that might have been staged just to see how many other Republicans, quote unquote, broke ranks with Trump.
It's interesting.
If Massey breaks ranks with Trump and Trump gets all upset, our other Republicans, our other rhinos who we think are Republicans, are they going to show themselves at rhinos and break ranks? So I think a lot of
Which I
this
wouldn't
is.
describe Massey as a rhino by any
Oh
stretch.
no, not in the least. But I'm just
But-
saying,
Right.
it's there. I think there's a lot of stuff going on that is, they're trying to ferret out. They're trying to smoke out. You can't just drain the swamp. You actually have to drain all the polluted waterways that are flowing into the swamp as well. So,
It's like a
USA
wrestling match. We're watching a wrestling match,
Yeah.
and we don't know what they practice behind the scenes before they came out and they're acting it. That's
Yeah.
and we're like
and
standing there going, "Ooh."
Yeah, and I thought it was funny that I think it was like 50 different legislatures all came out with the exact same message, word for word. I mean, it's like, oh, we are battling against the continuing resolution because of, and I mean, it was word for word, and I'm like going,
Yeah.
if you guys are going to show that you're just puppets for some overarching organization, what better way to do it than have all your
Right.
press releases be exactly the same?
Come out as a chorus, right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to
Yeah.
play this because I knew because it was coming through the House first. I knew Rand Paul would never vote for this bill. And I was glad that Massey didn't, because I think we need Republicans like that to keep the powers that be in check. And I think they were doing it for the right reasons. And I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but I thought this was interesting. So I've got this recorded.
People about the fact that these cuts will not actually be permanent, the things Elon is doing, unless you all vote to make them so.
You know, the bill we're going to have to face this week will be continuing spending at the same level. These are the levels that were determined in December between Democrats and Republicans. These are the Biden spending levels. We know one result that will come from these spending levels, a $2 trillion deficit. So these spending levels exceed revenue by $2 trillion. There's no escaping that. So there's nothing conservative about these spending levels. No fiscal conservative should support this because it's going to borrow $2 trillion. That was the principle which once upon a time united all fiscal conservatives. So I will oppose it. I will propose an amendment today, and I'm hoping to get a vote on it. This amendment will take some of the Doge and Elon Musk cuts to foreign aid and incorporate them into the spending. If you don't incorporate them into the spending, there's sort of this false hope that, gosh, we're doing all these great things. And Secretary Rubio has cut 83% of the grants to foreign aid. And you think, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Well, it's only real if it comes back in the form of a spending cut. If you give them the same amount of money or if it's spent somewhere else, we haven't really done our job. So the administration can send it back as a rescission package, which is a special privileged vehicle that is a simple majority vote, or we can actually do it through this budgetary process and just start reducing spending. So I'll have an amendment, and it'll be interesting to see how people vote. I can tell you how it likely will turn out. No Democrat will vote to cut 1 penny of spending, and that is largely true of every vote that I've ever taken up here or presented. Every amendment that I've ever presented to cut any spending, no Democrat has ever supported. So that's just a given. On the Republican side, though, instead of having a unanimous support for my amendment, I'll get about half or maybe slightly more than half of the caucus. But this is the dilemma we face, that there's a lot of great talk. There's a lot of great exposure of waste. But unless we can actually get Republicans in Congress to support the president, support Elon Musk, and vote to codify this into real legislation, the cuts become ephemeral and I think float away.
And so there's one of my problems with these bills every damn time is that they say they're going to cut, and they pass the spending with the bill.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is, and a lot of this is, we're being led around by our nose as usual. And we are getting more and more information because we do have things like Twitter and Right Side Broadcasting and, and all these other places where we can get information where we previously didn't. I mean, it was like, the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. The Smith-Mundt Act of 1946 basically said government cannot be in the business of feeding propaganda to the people. So they can't tell broadcast stations what to do. In 2012, Obama passed the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which is a nice name, as most bills are. They have really nice names, but they don't mean what they say. And it was the Modernization Act, which essentially repealed that, which basically not only said the broadcast stations, TV, radio, cable, and whatnot, are going to do exactly what the government says, but, if you want to keep your license and you want to keep your advertising and you want to get a buttload of kickback money from USAID, you're going to do exactly what we say. So we weren't getting a lot of really good information for quite a while. And, I find it funny that people are all PO'd about these two billionaires that are working for free to try to get rid of graft, corruption, and waste. And everybody's all up in arms and screaming and yelling and frothing at the mouth.
Right.
And I'm like going, okay, so you're actually really good with the whole idea that like trillions of dollars of our money has been sent to other places so they can come back and line the pockets of the Democrats and the Republicans and the rhinos and the NGOs and all these people. If you stop doing all this stuff, you're going to see a lot of these long-term, lifetime, politicians leave office, one, because their corruption will be exposed, but two, because you can't make millions of dollars. I mean, Nancy Pelosi.
The gravy train is up. Yeah, no more
Yeah.
gravy train, man.
How did Elizabeth Warren get a net worth of $26 million on
Right.
less than 200 grand a year, job?
She's really good at the market. You just don't understand
Yeah.
how good she is. She has that Indian intuition. She's
Yeah,
very good
sends
at that.
she sends up smoke signals, and Wall Street pays attention.
And Wall
I
Street
like
pays attention.
I liked her better when she was on the Land O'Lakes butter carton. So
So now I'm going to play you the flip side of this, the flip side response from probably the most craziest, batshit craziest Democrat in the House. And this is saying a lot, but it's one of your favorites.
So today was a bad day for the country, and I won't sugarcoat it. Today was also a bad day for the Democratic Party. Let me explain. Today we took up that 6-month CR, or continuing resolution, giving Donald Trump 6 more months to continue doing what he's doing, tearing down our agencies, firing federal workers, cutting Medicaid, closing Social Security office, devastating veterans, laying off veterans. We just gave him 6 more months to continue down that destructive path. We in the Congress gave up our authority, gave up our power to allow him to continue to do this because we feared something worse if we refused. Now, I made it clear I think that was the wrong judgment. I strongly oppose this CR, but nevertheless, it passed. Why is this a bad day for the country? We have to step back and understand what our founders did when they established the Constitution and our set of checks and balances. Our founders understood that, as Madison said, men were no angels. If they were angels, there would be no need for government. So we needed a government, but we also needed to make sure that that government divided up power so that no one could become too powerful. Understanding the nature of human nature, that the accretion of power can corrupt human nature, they split up the power between the different branches of government, between the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. And that worked well for 200 years. Until it started to break down, until institutions started to, on their own, give up some of their authority. Now, the founders expected that we would jealously guard our own institutions, that ambition would be made to check ambition. So the ambition of people in the legislative branch would check the ambition of people in the executive branch, and the ambition of people in the judicial branch would be a check on both the other branches. But that has broken down in favor of the ambition of a president of your own party. And so we have seen Republicans in the House and Senate willing to give up their authority to this president because they think this president will do their will, or because they think that the president will carry out their agenda and won't punish them for dissenting. Perfect test case in this CR, Republicans giving up the power of Congress to stop these tragic tariffs that are wrecking the economy. Why on earth would Congress give up that power? Because they don't want to have to vote on it themselves, because they're afraid that if they do vote on it and they affirm what Donald Trump is doing, they'll be punished by their voters. So they say, we would just rather not have that power anymore. We will give it to you, Donald Trump.
No. I think he's completely wrong. And here, first off, the fact that he's sitting there saying that they're doing pretty much what Al Green said, is that his followers, as blind acolytes of Donald Trump's, we're just going to follow him. We're just the minions. We're going to blindly follow him for everything that he does, and which is weird because Rand Paul and Thomas Massey just completely blew that out of the water. There are those who are going to say, when something's wrong, they're going to say it's wrong. And here he is repeating what Al Green was repeating. I don't know. That's what I got from it. But
well, first off, I'm like going, great speech. Where was the teleprompter? He's obviously not doing this off the top of his head. Secondly, he was censured in the House for lying. And he was the one that said he had irrefutable proof that Trump colluded with the Russians. I have irrefutable proof. I have evidence that cannot be. Well, you know what? We still have not
I'm
seen that evidence. And you got kicked out of the House. And the only reason that you're a senator in California, as opposed to who was running against him, Steve Garvey, the famous baseball player who got like a lot of votes and could have won, but then they counted for a week, a couple of weeks after the election until Schiff finally actually won.
keep counting
But
until I win. Damn it.
keep counting until they win. But the whole thing is and let's just like ignore his whole background about what a vile person he is. But the whole point here is that he was saying, it's like, Trump has these aspirations. I'm going, what do you mean aspirations? He lost like $2 billion in his first presidency. He's working for free. The only thing he wants is he wants a return to justice. He wants a return to sanity. He wants a return to make America great again. And he's making this all sound like, Trump's trying to be, a king and everybody's got to bow to the king. And I'm like going, you are such a freaking moron. And it's like, every time I see that guy, I think of Barney Fife with less charisma.
Yeah. Well, this is what I think.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the.
That just doesn't get old. That just doesn't get old.
I know, still love that. And it's like, man, when they dig through all his stuff, and when they dig through all the Pelosi stuff, and they dig through all the Schumer stuff, these people are running scared. I've never seen. I don't know if you've ever been out in. I've accidentally like cornered a wild animal one time. One time I ran into a porcupine, and thankfully I didn't run into the bad way. But
I go back to the teenage girls. I got chained in the dungeon. So.
Well, you need more whips and chains hanging up on the back wall there.
You gotta run long distances. They're fast. They're young nubile girls,
But anyway, I cornered a wild animal, and it was just like, a porcupine. Well, it was just, we were both just startled, and so I just turned and ran and screamed like a little girl. But one time, the other time is I had a raccoon cornered, and I didn't realize I had it cornered, but I was in like a box canyon, and a raccoon thought I was coming after it, and it started snarling at me like a panther. I mean, it was like, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this thing's going to kill me. And it's like, what we have now is we basically have a bunch of scared animals that are cornered, and there's nowhere for them to go. And they've been trying to take out Trump, and they've been trying to swat all these people. I mean, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was swatted a couple times. And it's like they are going well out of their way to try to take these people out because they know, and Clintons are a great case. Nobody has 50 close friends that die of suicide. So, these are the kind of people a lot of the time people have been playing nice, and it's like, you kind of think that Trump is like going, he acts like a guy who's been, impeached a couple of times, shot at a couple of times, and really doesn't have two F's to care anymore. And it's like, no, we know everything now. And I mean, we know everything, and we're coming for you. So,
and they're totally worried
to go.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide. He's put his people in charge. These are good people. They're loyal, and they're going to continue doing what they need to do. Let's see. Before I get you out of here, a good friend of the show. I haven't had her on the podcast yet. I probably should. That is Savannah Hernandez. Are you familiar with Savannah?
I am not.
Savannah, she does the podcast Sav Says. And she was the young lady back in the BLM days. They attacked her and called her a racist, and she's an American Indian. And so she's Hispanic. And so it's like, why are you people calling her a racist? This is incredible. But she's a friend of the show, and I thought this was cool.
Candace Owens a racist, and I'm like going, really? Okay, so you're calling a really a really well-educated black woman who disagrees with you a racist. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well,
But anyway, so
and
speaking of Savannah, so you're going to have her on the show? Is that what you're saying?
no, I just wanted to show that she got to meet the president. She got to
Oh,
go to
okay.
the Oval Office and meet the vice president and whatnot. And I thought that was just really cool that a fellow New Mexican girl. She's a
Ah,
friend of my sister's family,
oh, good.
and I thought she used to live in Farmington. She was friends with my nieces, and very interesting. She just
Yeah, I
grew
mean,
up to be.
so cool. It's somebody that you kind of knew, and
Mhm.
somebody that you knew, and it's like, oh, and now they are next to the president. Now that's really
Next to
cool.
the president,
So
right?
do you think that's the real White House, or do you think they're posing on the Biden White House set?
No, they couldn't fit on that desk. This
Yeah,
is a real desk.
this is the real
W-
Resolute desk then.
Yeah, this is whether it has a booger on it or not. This is the real desk.
Well, then
This
my
is it.
next question is and here's the difference between this current administration and the previous other administrations is that did you see all the memes that were going around about JD Vance where they had him like his face on like all these different characters and he actually thought it was like the funniest thing ever. So
Yeah,
he actually did one of himself, that one shot of Leonardo DiCaprio sitting there, smoking a cigarette, sitting back in a chair with a beer, like pointing at the screen, going, "Yeah, that." And so it's like, okay, so that's the difference because had that happened with like Kamala or anybody else on the Democrat Party where they had all these memes going around, they'd have their accounts shut off, they'd have them run out of town, they'd have their businesses run out. And JD Vance was like having fun with it and actually creating more memes about himself. And I'm like going, this is, it's like people were protesting him at some speech today he was giving. He was going, and it's like what is it like 12:30 in the what is it like 1:30 in the afternoon? Don't any of you people have jobs?
yeah.
It's like, okay, all you protesters, don't you have like jobs to go to or something? Or maybe that is their job. They're probably getting paid to protest. But
Some of them, hopefully, some of that money is drying up. Some of
oh, I
those money,
know.
because those NGOs. That's where you can't. That is the screen that they're hiding behind because that's
Yeah,
you can't get any information from these NGOs. Just
yeah. I
sucks
mean,
it up
there's
and it's lost.
yeah. I mean, the what was it? The 37 billion with 3 weeks ago in the Biden presidency, it was like 37 billion was given to an NGO that popped up like 2 months before, and and then Elon, Data Republican, and Doge found out about it. And so they basically said, oh, we're cutting off the money. And so they went to a nice judge, who the nice judge says, well, you can't cut off this money because the contract's already in place. And it's like, yeah, you know what? You don't run the executive branch. So we're just basically going to, well, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but basically it's like,
Yeah.
we don't have to pay attention to you. I mean, it's nice that you say I have to I have to continue with this, but I'm the guy that runs the executive branch. By the way, I am your president, so bite me.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting how that turns out. So I got to throw this up here. This is, Rob from Base and Tackle. This is our new motto. Don't be a cuck. Take your neighborhood back. Got to remind people, stay vigilant. If you see something, say something. Don't be afraid. And get to know your neighborhoods. Get to know your neighbors. Rent control is now the law in Oregon. This was something that happened several years ago. This
Yeah,
was
that was like
Oregon is the
2019.
first state in the nation with statewide rent control. I don't know if you remember this. Governor Kate Brown signed Senate Bill 608 into law Thursday. It takes effect immediately. Brown called the legislation a groundbreaking, uh, bold start. And here's the thing: Tina Kotek was the leader, the House leader. She was the what is it
Speaker of the
called?
House.
Speaker of the House. She was the Speaker of the House at the time. Said this was wonderful. We're on a new age of ending unaffordable housing. That we're going to get people a house. That this is going to take care of everything. And if you haven't been keeping up with stuff, she's now spending, I don't know, almost $1 billion now on the homeless problem, and we've got more homeless people than ever before. So
Oh, I know. Creating, and it's like some of the bills that I gave testimony against, it was like, and you know what we're going to do is we're going to add more bureaucracy to fix what the bureaucrats couldn't fix, which means
Mhm.
we're going to spend way more money to put in more bureaucrats and put in more levels of administration. And none of that money is actually going to go to the homeless, but man, it's going to go to all these NGOs and all these
Right.
people that are going to kick back the money to us. And then there's what was it? If you're going to do business with Oregon, it can only be a union business. And I'm like going,
Yep.
wow, how much did the unions pay for that one?
That was a
Like
good
talking
one for the unions.
for the unions. And, I got nothing against unions other than the fact that why do government employees have a union?
Yep.
If the government is here to keep you from being exploited by, bad employers, are you saying the government's a bad employer, therefore you need a union to keep you from being exploited by a bad employer, which is your government?
Kind of sounds like what they're saying. And they're
That
milking the taxpayers while doing it. Yeah, the public union, man, boy, talk, what a grift. What
Oh
a
yeah.
grift. I'm
Well,
hoping that somehow getting rid of the Department of Education is going to help alleviate some of that problem.
well, I'm kind of hoping. And then the other one that I always, they said, oh, and we're taking PERS, and it's all going to be green energy now. We're changing our portfolio to be all green energy. Well, any portfolio managers with half a brain right now are going, no, get away from green energy.
Yeah.
But they don't have to care because, as it's written, they have to get 8% return on their investment, regardless of how they actually manage the money.
Yep.
And if the money managers for PERS don't do it properly, well, that's okay. The taxpayers will pay for it. So I'm like going, okay, so somebody who's getting paid a lot of money to do a bureaucrat job and then gets a really cushy retirement fund and is going to get like 8% on their portfolio. I'm
Yep.
like going, I know a lot of money managers. I used to run stock market systems. Getting an 8% return consistently is almost impossible.
Yeah, damn right
and,
it is.
and it's like, okay, but for them, it's okay because it's not, they don't have to work for it. We have to give it to them. They don't have to work for it. We just have to give it to them.
That was one of the public records requests I was thinking about doing for the schools, was that I know that they had a negative on their sheet. They didn't make enough money to meet the 8%, which I think it has been lowered to 6.8%, 6.7%, something like that.
Yeah.
But still, that's still quite a bit of return all the time consistently. And so they didn't get the amount that they're supposed to get. And so those districts, especially the school districts, are now going to have to make up that money. And I was going to see how much money it is overall from all of the school districts, but I'm not sure how to ask the question. I'm still
Yeah,
trying to figure that one out.
and that's part of the problem with doing public records requests or FOIA requests is that you have to be able to ask the question in a way that the bureaucrat that receives the question is going to understand what data you actually want. Because I had to go through the U.S. Postal Service. I was trying to get an answer for why did they lose 985 ballots in the last election, and what was done about it, and did you send out more ballots, and so forth and so on. Is it an error that came from the mailing house, or is it an error that came from the clerk's office, or was it an error in just processing at the USPS? Well, my first 4 or 5 requests were rejected because they didn't like the way I asked the question. It was too
Right.
broad. It was like, you're trying to make us interpret blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So I just kept rewriting it. And eventually I rewrote it to the point where they did respond in such a way that I got more information. But they said, we didn't give you all the information you asked for because one of our rules, and they sent me their rule book. One of their rules basically says is if you ask a question that may be embarrassing to one of the people that works here, we don't have to answer it. And I'm like, hold on, what? So somebody did something really stupid. They're embarrassed by it. So therefore, they don't have to divulge the fact that somebody did something really stupid.
What has Dahmer done now? Damn it, Dahmer!
Just like,
Oh, don't ask that question. Don't anyone ask. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's
sorry.
like every time I do a PRR, I'm like, you're coming up with new and improved ways to say no without saying no.
Right. Yeah, and every time we testify at these board meetings, it's the same way. It's like they just, no, you can't say that. Well, okay, how about this? No, you're gonna have to reword that. Your time is up. Well, shit, man. So there's a meeting, 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, March 11th. That's this Tuesday. I'm sorry.
That was previous Tuesday.
That was the previous Tuesday. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
it's the
March
14th
18th.
today.
March
There we go.
18th. Yeah, it's March 18th. So I apologize to everyone. Let me take that off the screen before anyone gets confused. That was March 18th.
Okay.
And,
so we're this coming Tuesday, the day after St. Patrick's Day.
The day after St. Patrick's Day, there's a meeting.
So go rolling into the Board of Commissioners meeting at 9:30 in the morning after a hard drunk on St. Patrick's night. You know, come rolling in with a real good hangover, and let your commissioners know what you think.
Let them know what you think.
Yeah.
I like that. Here's I got to get to my sponsors now. Here's one of my favorite commercials. And that's 3H Tree Service, my favorite tree service. I'm sure it's Marty's too.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that ad because it's just got that. It sounds a lot like a show intro. It's kind of got that same, chainsaw vibe that we had for the Todd Vaughn, put a logger in Salem.
It did. It did. Those guys are badass. They were cutting over there by the Salvation Army. They were the ones who were taking down trees over there and on the property. Very good stuff that they always do. But 3H Tree Service, 541-294-1800. The guys can take care of all of your logging needs. You need to log a small area. Well, they can do that micro logging. You got trees that are a liability. They're diseased. They're getting old. They've got bugs or infested. You need to get rid of them. They're a liability. 3H Tree Service. They can come in and remove them with surgical precision and remove their mess immediately and beautifully and leave you with a beautiful view. It's a beautiful view. I love it. I love watching it. They go in there and they take out those big trees in front of those huge houses over here abandoned, and then those houses have huge view of the ocean.
Yeah. Marvelous views. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I have a bonsai tree, so can they come out and trim that one up for me?
Micro trimming. They can do that. Yeah. They can come out there.
Well,
they got little chainsaws.
Yeah, a teeny tiny chainsaw. Sounds like dental equipment, but no job too large, no job too small.
Too small. I love people who are dedicated to their work, and they are. Tom and Gigs. Yep. You all know Tim over at Tom and Gigs, 135 South Shoneman Street, behind the car wash in the Empire neighborhood. And if you know where the Empire neighborhood is, you know where the car wash is. And all your automotive needs. I took my F-150 over there to get my brakes fixed. He did such a bang-up job. It was great.
Nice.
It's great. I like going over there because I know that his guys are really good. They rip it apart. They go over stuff. They really check out things that might be getting ready to go out, because that's always, my vehicle. There's always something ready to go out. But they can take care of you over at Tom and Gigs, and you can reach them at 541-888-4660. And of course, Herbal Choices for all your herbal needs. Herbal Choices. You can get more information at the herbalchoices.com store. And by the way, they're having a sale on St. Patrick's Day. You can wear green, you can buy green, you can get exposed to green. But remember, you must be 21 years or older to do it. That's right. That's the rules. That was the rules at my house. Once I became 21, that was the rules in my house. You have to be 21 to get in here, because I don't want to go to jail. 15 will get you 20, I think was the old expression.
Yeah, there you go. But, if you're wearing the green, you can save some green when you're buying green.
At the Herbal Choices.
Day. At Herbal Choices. So where are they located? Because I know there's one in Bandon, but...
There's one in Charleston. There's one in Coos Bay. There's one in Bandon. There's one in North Bend. And there's one in Reedsport.
Yeah, I drive by the one in Bandon every time I leave town. So there we go.
I drive by the one in Bandon every time I'm going to the store in Bandon. It's a great place to go.
Every time you go into Herbal Choices in Bandon, you go right to it.
And on Wednesday, they have Wild Wednesday, and Wild is one of their their edibles. And this isn't like in the old days. Remember how they would give you a cookie with all that weed in it and stuff, and you would eat it and go, oh, no, that's really great. And it wouldn't do anything for you. Well, now it's a science. They got this stuff down where they put it into a gummy, and if you're not used to it, it can really, really take you for a ride. It's quite the experience.
Oh boy, yeah. I'm such a lightweight. I just probably, I get a contact buzz just driving by it at 40 miles an hour. So
I'm high. I can't go any further.
I can't go any further.
And of course, Oregon Firearms Federation. I don't know why I got the lineup like this. Maybe I need to reconsider this, but it's Oregon Firearms Federation, Kevin Starrett's group. I talked to Kevin. He's on his way to Idaho, I think. He's got things to do. But I was trying to get him on the show. I'm trying to get the attorney on here, and who's representing. Yeah, he's the one who's representing the Gun Owners of America in that Measure 114 case that just lost on appeal. But Oregon Firearms Federation, they're paying for a lot of these legal fees. And if you want to donate to a good no compromise group, Oregon Firearms is the place to do it.
Yeah, considering that was the story at the start of the show, is that not only is Measure 114 a piece of work, but the appeal about 114 has been said, well, it seems constitutional to me. And I'm like going, well, I guess we know what judges are bent here. So.
And the sad part is it goes from now probably, I would imagine they probably put $100,000+ into it so far. And now we're going to be looking at $1 million once it gets to the federal courts. It's got to go to it's got to go to the Oregon Supreme Court, which we know it's going to lose there, and then it will go up to the federal court. It's silly that we have to play this game, though.
Oh no, but that's what lawfare is all about. I mean,
right.
I've been in a couple of lawsuits where we just basically go, we lost. We knew we were going to lose round one. We thought, well, maybe we got a popcorn farts chance in hell that we might win this one at the first level. But when we lost at the first level, it's like, okay, now you add another zero to the equation. And it's like, okay, 10 grand I can eat, 100 grand, not eating that. And, so it's just, and it's lawfare because, like when I had to sue State Farm, I had a $26,000 Porsche 356 convertible, that I had insured for 26 grand. And because it was, needed work, but it got stolen. State Farm wouldn't pay me. And so I just kept, and they just kept taking me to court and making me do depositions and making
whittle you down.
Involved. And it basically cost me $82,000 in legal fees to get them to pay up on a $26,000 car insurance policy. And I was like going, great. Well, and then I almost got him to pay for all my legal fees. So I think I only lost like $3,000 and 2.5 years of my life. But that's what lawfare is all about. Insurance companies like State Farm. And by the way, if you're using State Farm, you realize that you might as well just be taking all that money and throwing it down the toilet, because State Farm will not pay. State Farm's biggest profit center, or the most money's, the State Farm, the biggest money they spend is for advertising. The second largest amount of money they spend is lawyers. And then way down at the bottom, after administration and salaries for CEOs and stuff like that, it's what they actually pay out to people that are,
Right.
have lost something. And State Farm was so bad that they almost lost their license to sell insurance in California. And then they basically bought their own politician, Garamendi, to run the insurance, the state.
That's what
insurance side.
happens. That's
Yeah.
it.
So anyway, if you have State Farm, I highly suggest you go somewhere else. But the whole lawfare thing is they will just keep suing you, or knowing that you're going to run out of money sooner or later. And that's
Right.
why I liked what I heard today about Trump saying he's going to pass a thing where if you're going to do, this kind of lawfare stuff, then you have to put down a huge bond to
Yep.
start. So that if it turns into a multi-million-dollar lawyer junket and you lose,
Yep.
which you will because this is not constitutional, then you're going to have to eat it.
This is what I think of that.
Go ahead. Make my day.
I like it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's and it's a nice way to kind of cap off the whole firearms thing. So
Oh, wait, we got the Band and Gun Club to mention, because you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
more at bandandgunclub.org. Not my sponsors, but I like to mention them. If you're in Bandon, great place to go and hone your pistol skills. Have you ever gone to this? Have you ever gone to
have
Band and
not.
Gun Club?
Where is it located?
You, gosh, I should know this. It's,
It's not
boy,
the one
I'm-
out by the dump, is it?
no. That's the Tioga Sports Park.
Yeah, I
This
thought
is the one by
Tioga
the
Sparks was that.
hatchery. No, this is the one down by the
Oh,
hatchery.
okay. Oh, down by the hatchery on 42S then.
Yeah. That's it. And really nice people out there. But it's really cool because they got a cover for the pistol range, so
Oh, okay.
you don't get
You don't
wet
have to
when you're out there
you don't-
shooting stuff.
You don't have to stand in the rain, which
Yeah.
is basically October through April. Yeah, okay.
And that's the nice thing about that. So that's really cool. That's a really cool place. Here's Tioga Sports Park. They got a rifle range. The Band and Gun Club don't have a rifle range, but they do have a shooting trap, trap shot. But here they have Tioga Sports Park. They have 100-yard rifle range, and you can sight in your telescope. TiogaSportsPark.org. And of course, Coos County Neighborhood Watch. Are you a member of this group?
I am not.
Oh, you need to go over there and become a member. These guys know all the criminals. It's so funny. If
Okay.
you want to know anything that's going on as far as criminals in the area, I mean,
So it's like-
these guys are impressive. Like, they will have actually in time catching people who are being porch pirates. As soon as someone reports a porch pirate, a couple of them will go out and they will track down the porch pirate, and they've actually caught them in live time while they were reporting it on this Coos County
Wow.
Neighborhood Watch Facebook.
And that's on what, Facebook, I'm assuming?
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, because I looked at the the blue invite button. I'm like, oh well, that looks like a Facebook logo.
That's a total Facebook. And it's a really cool place, because if you get robbed, more than likely they're going to have pictures of your stuff on here eventually. So
Okay. And they already
Yeah.
have, well, I don't know when you took the screenshot, but they have 7,400 members, which is pretty good for a county that only has like 65,000 people in it. So a
yeah.
whole 10% of Coos County. And I'm assuming we're talking mostly city folks, because people that live out in the country don't have to really worry about crime so much, because they can just, go out and shoot them. Where you can't be walking around town waving a gun. But if somebody's coming to my farm and accosting me, I'm like, yeah, I can wave a gun.
That's the funny thing about Bandon. Bandon's one of the safest cities in Oregon, and Coos Bay is one of the most dangerous.
I guess maybe Bandon must be like, every time they do a shuttle up to Bandon Dunes, they just take a bunch of criminals and drop them off in Charleston and Empire, and go back to the golf course. But anyway, well, thanks for having me on the show. It sounds like you're doing the. Sounds like we're doing the wrap up. You're playing the exit music.
Samantha Frost says nobody seems to care about the law or Constitution here in Oregon. I think Samantha's right. I think she's onto something here.
Oh, no, it's a lot of people that do care. It's just not the people in power. I mean, I care about it. You care about it. Samantha cares about it. Michaela cares about it. We know a lot of people that care about it. It's just that we're not the people that are running the show. And hopefully they won't be for much longer either.
Well, I want to thank Samantha Frost, Jeff Pete, James McHenry, if that's your real name, Joseph, all of them for joining us. It was a good time. Glad you guys commented. I always appreciate that. That's the fun. Oregon Outlaw, thank you very much. Yeah, he had a hell of a time at the SWAC board meeting. He got escorted out. One of those kinds of meetings.
Oh boy, yeah. I haven't been
Well,
escorted out of a meeting in a long time. I need to up my game, man.
That's it. You got to throw some more fingers, man. So I'm fighting the system, man.
Yeah.
F you too.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been once again, it's been another exciting Friday night rant here on the Rob Taylor Report, the almost famous Rob Taylor. And I'm the don't want anybody knowing who the hell I am, Marty.
Smart man. Well, Marty, I'll talk to you next time, okay?
All right, thanks for having me on.
You got it.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. All right. Thank you, Marty. I always appreciate it. And I'm out of here. I will see you on Monday. I may or may not have a guest. He travels, and so I'm trying to get someone on here, and I don't want to say who they are because I'll jinx it. But Monday I should have a guest, and I'll see you next Friday. And try to make what was it? Let me see if I can pop this right up here real quick again. Just to remind you folks, because I know we got so much on our mind. If you can, submit testimony against gun ban bill HB 3075. Go to the Oregon Legislature website. Go to Ole's. You can find out all this information on my website. Go to the Rob blog and click the Rob blog page and scroll down, and you will see the tab that has this picture right here on it. Click that tab, and it will give you information on how to make the testimony. It'll give you the link to the Ole's website. That's the legislative website where you can testify against this gun ban bill. This is happening 3 o'clock Monday. 3 o'clock Monday. You got to do something about this, okay, man? If you don't, nobody else will. There's nobody coming to rescue you. You've got to be your own hero. And like I said, I appreciate all of you tuning in. I appreciate it. You know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.